Hey everyone, happy crafting. It is Jonna, the Preppy Crafty Girl, and I am here for a little tutorial on how to use up these crepe paper rolls. If you're not using these in your junk journals, you are missing out because they are fun, inexpensive, you have tons of product to work with, and I have 3 ideas on how to use them, and they are on my table, and I'm going to show you what I did. So the first one was basic ruffle, and I layer these together. So I did 3 layers here, and then you can even make them. I've done it where they're graduated, so I cut it a little thinner, a little thicker, and then the regular length. But these are super fun and super cute to put on the edge of a page. It just adds a little something great for a birthday celebration. Um, Anything like that, kind of a journal. Okay, so I'll show you how I made those. And then, yes, I'll be getting out my sewing machine. So I don't know if you'll be able to see exactly what I'm doing, but I did use a sewing machine. You can do them by hand. However, it would take a while, but depending on the length. But you can do them by hand. And then the other thing I made is my take on festooning. I don't know if you've ever heard of festooning, but it is almost like tissue paper, and they put it up for like celebrations and stuff like that. But this is super cute way of decorating the edge of your page and just just adding a little 3D embellishment, or you could add it at the bottom or the top of, like, let's say you have a flashcard and you want to add a little thing at the top, or you could do it as like a tab. So it's always good to have, just something a little different you could add in there. Okay, then my third thing that I'll show you how to make are these rosettes. And these are so much fun because you can just add a little bit of an embellishment to a page. And I don't have a paper doll, but it'd be really cute, like with a little paper doll right here, or just a fun little 3D embellishment, which I gave you a couple options. You can do a button in the center, or, piece of jewelry or anything. And, or you could put a little die cut in the center. So I'm going to show you how to make these little rosettes. So the first thing we're going to do is, first thing you're going to need some crepe paper rolls. Not all crepe paper is created the same. If you can find some older versions, it's better because it's thicker and holds up really well. I do have some Hobby Lobby brand. It's 99 cents for a roll, and it's not too bad. I can show you how to layer. We'll get into like layering, and this is my on the go. So I do have some on the go ways of storing it. I store it flat like this and in a little packet, because this is a little cumbersome. But if I'm going to a retreat or something like that, or I'm going to craft on the road, I will take a couple of colors in the colorway of what I'm working on, and I will carry them like this, and that is plenty. So I have that out of the rolls. You will need a few things. You'll need, I'm going to do one with a little bit of ephemera in the center. And so I have some ephemera you could use to put in the center. I have some buttons, and I have a little bit of thread, and you can use embroidery floss. I have a little bit of crochet twine, and then you're going to need some punches. So I punched out using a 1.5 inch punch, or you could use, depending on the size of the one you want to do, I also have the 1.25. So either one of those will work just fine. The other thing is, I really like making the rosettes using hot glue, but I couldn't find my hot glue gun, so I'll be using a 3-in-1 or a tacky glue. Anything like that works awesome. And that's about it. Yep. And then I have a little die cut in here. And so let's get started. This stuff off. Okay, let me bring so first thing you're going to do is we will do the ruffle. Okay, so this is going to be your basic ruffle. everything's going to kind of stem off of what we're going to do here, okay? So let's see, let's do the polka dot one. The Dollar Tree has crepe paper also. I find it's very thin. I think this is from the Dollar Tree. It is extremely thin. So if your page is this long, and you can make them as long as you want, you could do a continuous long one and then cut it up as you go. What you would want to do is if you sew it, you're going to want to make one continuous long ruffle. And then you're going to want to, before you cut it, you're going to want to take a little bit of glue and drop it where the stitching is. Wait till the glue dries and then cut through it. And that way the stitching won't come undone and your ruffle will not come undone. Okay? So that's how you do a long continuous one. And what you're going to want to do is do 4 lengths of whatever your page is or whatever you're going to end up doing it on. So I'm going to cut a little strip of that. And then I'm going to go ahead and do 2 or 3 layers. So let's see how much I have if I can do. Because this is the Dollar Tree stuff, and it's extremely thin. It doesn't hold up very well. So I'm going to do 2 of those, and that will be just fine. Then what you're going to want to do is, I take a little Scotch tape or washi tape or something like that to hold the top together. So I just take a little bit of tape like that. I'll cut that off after. And then that just holds the 2 pieces together. And then what I do is I start with a little fold in half. So I have the center line because you want it centered. It doesn't have to be exact, but you want to at least start out center so you can look at your sewing guide and then line up the edge so you're hitting the center of the crepe paper, okay? And as you sew, I'm going to hold my hand like this as it's going through, and it'll keep the pieces together and lined up. So I'm going to definitely do that, all right? So that's the first step. And what I do is I do several of these. So I'll start, I've got that one. Let's do one so I get all my sewing done at one time. So I'm going to do another one. And let's see, I'm going to do a rosette. So I'm going to do 2 lengths of the page, and I'll show you how I'm going to do the rosette. And for the rosette, you only need 1 piece. So you're going to use 1 piece, and you're going to take, okay. You are going to take, and I'm just making a little longer than probably what I need, but it's better to be longer than not to have enough. And you're going to take the whole thing and you're going to fold the entire thing in half. Now, this does not have to be like exact. You want to try to get it lined up as much as you can. Go in, and let's just fold this whole thing in half. Okay, so got our piece folded in half. So that's going to be for a rosette. And then for the festooning, which I'm going to go ahead and do that. And the festooning, you want to have a few layers. So let's go ahead. And this you're not going to gather. This is just going to be a straight stitch. So I'm going to do the length of whatever page I'm working on, and I'm going to do 4 layers. Okay. So take this, and I'm just going to do 4 layers, like so. Again, I'm going to take the 4 layers, and I'm going to take a little bit of tape and put it on the end, and that will help me hold it together. Okay, so that is for the festooning, which is this piece right here. Alrighty. So I think that is all you're going to need. The other thing you could do if you don't have a sewing machine and you just want to add a little crepe paper, you can go in and just glue and gather yourself, like, just glue it down, and it's super cute that way too. So don't feel like, oh, I can't do this project because I don't have a sewing machine. And like I said, you can hand sew. Okay, I'm going to put these to the side. And then these are the ones I'm working on. Set those there. Set that to the side. And let me get my sewing machine. I'll be right back. Okay, so I am back now with my sewing machine. I just have a Brother sewing machine. It is a bottom of the line $90 on sale at Walmart machine. That's what I use for my paper sewing. And then I have a good one that I do all my sewing with on. And this is not going to be a sewing tutorial by any means, but all my fabric things, I don't use this sewing machine. I have a better sewing machine. So, but because sometimes when I'm working on paper and things like that, I do need a different needle. And I also sometimes will put glue on here and it'll gum it up and things like that. So if you have a cheap sewing machine, go for it. If you can get one at a garage sale, go for it. And have fun playing with paper. Don't be afraid. So I have my stitch setting on 3 because that's just a good length for me. Mine goes up to a 4, but I go ahead and I have mine set at 3. It's a good gathering length. And mine only goes 1 to 4. My sewing machine stitch length only gives me like 4 options. And I have it set at a straight stitch. For the rosette, you're gonna have two edges here, right? Because we folded it down the center. And what you're gonna wanna do is you're gonna wanna stitch the 2 edges together. Oh, I would say probably about, I don't know, 1/8 of an inch away, 1/4 of an inch, somewhere in between there. And you're just gonna go ahead and put it in your needle down, drop the foot, put the needle down into the paper, and then start. Hope I can do this because I'm sitting at this weird angle. And my pedal's slipping away. Ooh. Make sure you have it set at a straight stitch. And we are just going to stitch along the edge. See how I'm not guiding it through. I'm just holding it together. The feed dog is on my machine, is guiding it straight through. I'm just holding the edge. And you do not want to back stitch at all on this. And I'm going to just continuously stitch through my paper. Whoops. Okay, so that was the rosette one. I'm just going to continue. That's why I like to have these done, because I just do a continue stitch. I don't cut it. I'll cut it apart afterward, and I'm going to feed this back in. This is going to be the festooning, which I had the 4 layers of the crepe paper. Oops. Would help if I had the right one standing up. Yeah. Okay. All facing the same direction. Because printed crepe paper is like fabric. It'll be printed on one side. Alrighty, and then I'm just going to go ahead and stitch down in the middle. It doesn't have to be in the exact middle because we are going to trim it. This you definitely want to back stitch on. And I'm going to do it again, a continuous stitch. This is going to be the gathered one. So this is the really long one, doing the ruffle. And I'm also not going to back stitch on this one. This is where I'm sewing down the middle, and I'm using my guide on my machine to guide it down the middle, and I'm holding these very lightly to keep them lined up. what I'm going to do here is I'm going to leave myself, because I'm going to be gathering, not going to backstitch, but I am going to leave myself a long thing here. And I'm doing a contrasting thread. You don't have to. Okay, so that is going to be the use of my machine. Hang on 1 second. Alrighty, so like I said, I did one big, long, continuous stretch. It just is faster that way, more convenient. And what I'm going to do now is I am going to cut them apart. So I have my 3 pieces ready to go. And there's that. Okay, so as far as the ruffle is concerned, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take either thread. You want either one, whichever one is moves better for you. And I'm going to just, because I didn't backstitch, the thread is going to be able to move. So you're going to just pull one thread, hold the other thread away, and all you're going to do is gather. And you can, this is how you do a fabric ruffle. It's the same exact thing. You're just doing this with the crepe paper. So I'm gathering. And I'm just pushing gently because you don't want to tear and you don't want to break your thread. So I'm kind of pushing the end out like that. And as you work down the piece, this may have been a little bit long to show on camera, but I'm just showing how you can just kind of get a longer piece made. But can you see how that's just gathering like that? By me just gently pulling and then pushing the paper down on the thread. And you can make it as ruffly as you want or as not ruffly as you want. So when you're starting out, you may not want to start with this long of a one. It may feel like it's a little intimidating. Then when you get used to it, you can move on to a longer piece. So I'm kind of getting to the end. I want to be a little careful because you want to gather, you don't want to push off to the end. So I'm getting closer again. Just continue to keep doing the same thing. Sometimes you have to come in, and now it's getting pretty tight here with the ruffle. So I may work from the other end and just continue to ease the ruffle down closer to the end. It gives me a little more room and I can continue sliding. But see how I use the one short? That's what's holding the ruffle in, and then this is what's doing the gathering. And some people say if you do it with the bobbin thread, right, the under thread, that it works. Gathering works a lot easier. Okay, so here is my piece. When I get to the end, I'm going to just sit here and just kind of, okay, so when I get to the end, I'm just going to leave it, and then I'm going to go back in here, and maybe I feel like, okay, this might be a little too gathered, then I can just push the other way, or maybe this little area is not gathered enough, and then you can kind of even it out before you tie off the ends. All right, okay, so when I get to the end, what I like to do is I will take the two and I will knot them until I decide how long of a piece I want, and that I would definitely, if I'm storing these, if I make a lot of head and I'm storing them, I definitely want to knot off the ends, because don't want my gathering right to escape. So I'll just knot it there at the end. And then when I get ready to use the piece, I will cut the threads. I'll glue. So this is where I come in and I will glue the end off. And I do this on the underside. I try to glue just put a little dab on the thread there. And then you're going to put a little dab on the thread there. And that will keep it from unraveling. Okay, so that is your ruffle. That was super easy, right? Like that. And sometimes what I'll do is if I know like I've got these pre-made in the length of the journal that I'm working on, which just came out a little bit longer, what I will end up doing is I will go in with a little bit of score tape and I will pre-tape this so I can put it down. And I find that I like using the score tape. I prefer the score tape instead of gluing it because depending on the crepe paper, if it's a dark color, it may bleed, it's definitely going to bleed through with the glue. And then you'll have an issue with the glue bleeding through and you will see it then. So let's put that, and then that way it's good to go. And I can make a whole drawer of these and have them all ready to go, right? So that is that one. And again, the really cool thing about it is that if you don't want it this wide, you can always go in, which I'm going to show you how I do on the festooning. You can always go in and trim it and you'll get a thinner piece of the gathering if you don't want one that wide. So let's go to the next step, and that's going to be doing the festooning. So on this one, what you're going to do is you're going to cut about, I eyeball it, it's about a 1/2 inch. Let me, I have a ruler out here to help you guys. But anyway, I think it's going to, oh, here's the ruler. Okay, so yeah, it's going to be about a 1/2 inch. I think that's going to be good. This one might be a little bit thinner. Yeah, I think I cut it in from the stitch line. No, that did 1/2 inch. Okay, so, but I eyeball. So I'm going to go in here and I'm just going to cut this away. On either side. Like so. Too close there. And it doesn't have to be exact because you are going to be cutting it. Okay, so now I've got that. You can do this with tissue paper too. I've done it with tissue paper, but you have to do a lot of layers of tissue paper. So anyway, I'm going to go in with my scissors then, and all I'm going to do is cut like this, make little snippets about 1/8 of an inch. You see that? So like this, 1/8 of an inch, I would say that is. And I'm going to go all the way down, not cutting into the string. Got to be really careful that you are not cutting into the string. You just want, or the thread. You want to cut up to the thread. Let me see if I can focus in. See how I'm cutting up to the thread, but not through the thread. Okay. So I'm just going to keep going, and I'll come back, and when I'm done, because I know you guys don't want to sit here and watch me do this. I will come back in a minute and show you what to do next. Okay. So you're going to do it on this one side, and you're going to do it on the other side. Okay, now I'm back, and I have finished trimming in all those sides. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add in before I fluff it, I'm going to use my score tape, and I'm using the 1/4 inch score tape. And I'm going to put this down the middle because I find it's easier to do now than it is to do after you do this next ruffling thing. So make sure you're down the middle, covering the stitch marks. And now all you're gonna do now is you are just going to like just scruff it up with your fingers. Scruff it up. And that's it. And you're gonna do it on one side. Oops. Like so. Now, okay, I did 4 layers of the crepe paper. And now I'm gonna go in and I'm just gonna do the other side and I'm going to scruff it up. So I'm just kind of taking my fingernails or lack of there, and then I'm just going underneath it and pulling it up just to fluff it. Just kind of pinch it into the center, and some may tear off, but that is how you get this really cute festooning, right? And then it's all good to go, all ready to go on your pages. So, and then you can just store them like this, and you've got a nice little assortment. Look how cute that is, even to layer that on top. It's really cute. You could do a separate little color or whatever. So I've got that. Okay, next we're going to work on the rosettes. We're going to do a gathering like we did on the ruffle, and you are going to take the thread, and all we're going to start doing is we're going to do the same thing. We are going to just pull it in on itself. And I think I did too much for the ruffle, but it's okay. It's better, like I said, it's better to have too much than not enough. Because even if you had a little left over, I mean, even just that is cute. It's so cute to add to the top of something, that little ruffle again, you know, it's got the little finished edge. Use this one. Make sure when you gather, you're only pulling with the one thread. I started to pull with the other one. I was like, what? So again, and you're going to already notice it's going to already start to curl, which you want. So we want it to start to curl, and it's just going to help you in making your little rosettes. Again, the longer the ruffle you have, the more layers of the rosette you'll have. And also, the closer you get to the edge, the bigger of a flower you'll have, or the rosette you'll have. So if you stitch closer here to the folded edge and pull, you'll have a smaller rosette, and then you can always trim off the excess. So again, when you get to the end, you want to be a little bit careful not to pull this thread out. You can lose that bottom thread if you just kept pushing. And you don't want to do that because then you won't have your gather. But see how it's starting to already curl and it's already helping you. Okay, this is where you kind of let the curl do its thing and kind of guide it into a circle, and you're just going underneath it, and you're layering and you're layering. So there's your rosette. Now what we're going to do is I'm going to take a piece of that punched paper. I'm just using a scrapbook paper. It could be anything. And I'm using the 3-in-1, but preferably use a hot glue gun because this will go a lot faster, because I'll have to wait till this dries and it won't hold it right away. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take this bottom layer and I'm going to fold it back on itself so I have a nice end. So I'm just folding that back on itself. I'm going to take some glue and I'm going to put it on this circle. That's why I have a silicone mat, because I dropped glue. Yeah, dropped glue everywhere. Okay. So put the glue back on the circle. And then I'm going to I'm going to trim my threads later. Push those to the side. And I'm just going to start to layer this on and get it how I want it. Like so. And then, so that's going to go there. And then go there. And then I'm going to take a little more glue. I'm going to fold this back on itself, like I did on the bottom, and I'm just going to go ahead and start to curl it into the center, like this. And you can fluff the edges up a little bit. And you can see I've got about 3 layers in there. And you want to make sure that stays centered on the circle. You have a nice circular posy. So that is that. Now it would hold better if I had used the hot glue. This is going to take a little bit, so I'm going to have to hold it by putting something heavier on. I'll probably use my tape dispenser to lay that on it. I'm going to put the threads, and I've got this so far. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add whatever I want into the center, and I'm going to do a little piece of pie because I'm working on the cookbook journals, and this is a Amy J. Delightful die cut that I had. And I'm just going to layer that right on top, like so. But you could put a button in the center like I did the other ones. Like this one, I just used a button. So you could do a button in the center of that one. Okay, so there you go. Those are the 3 ways of how I use crepe paper in my junk journals. And hopefully you will get out your crepe paper that I know you have left over from birthday parties and celebrations, and you will craft along with me. So have an awesome day. Please tag me below if you do this project, and I'd love to see what you've done with it or anything. Comment below if you have any questions about how anything is done. And again, you guys have a wonderful crafting day, and I will be back with another tutorial soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.